King's Academy trustees, faculty and staff, students, families, distinguished guests and friends from everywhere, and most of all, of course, Mr. Peter Nielsen and his wife, Miss Crystal, and their children, Oliver and little Everly. What a propitious occasion this is, and what an honor for us to be part of it, returning, as it were, to our old camping ground.
I can't begin to speak without saying how grateful I am to His Majesty for his founding of King's Academy and giving me the chance of a lifetime to be the founding headmaster. It was 9 years ago that we were on this stage together, along with His Majesty, bidding goodbye to the class of 2010, our first graduating class, and graduating ourselves, as we said, at the same time. But the next year, we were back again at commencement time for the class of 2011, who were just freshmen when the school opened in 2007. That was when Dr. Meera surprised everyone by reciting from the Mu'alakat of Imr al-Qais.
قفا نبكي من ذكرى حبيب ومنزلي. Stop, my friends. Let us remember and weep. Now here we are again, full of nostalgia, that pain of return that is so bittersweet. But this time, helping to induct your new headmaster and his family. Of course, Dr. Eric is taking credit, for he was the first, well, not really. His Majesty himself, of course, blazed the trail from Deerfield to Jordan and then to King's. But after that, Eric became the headmaster of Deerfield when Mr. Peter, in the year 2000, got started on his triple threat career as a teacher of English, a dorm head, and coach of squash, cycling, and of course, ultimate frisbee. It strikes me that there are some interesting parallels between Mr. Nielsen, King's Academy, and Jordan itself. All are relatively young. All are hitting their prime. All are fiercely determined, but as well ameliorated by a love of family, joy in daily life, and a sense of play. And finally, all are intensely curious about the world beyond and the technology that will help us navigate that.
Mr. Peter is such a gregarious fellow, it would be silly to think that our job would be to introduce him to you. Surely he's allowed you to get to know him pretty well already, and to see, and his family as well, and to see how comfortable he is, they are, with all of the constituencies of KA. The point is, he would say, that first and foremost, a school should be a safe and a happy place.
One thing you may not know is that Mr. Peter visited King's during our time, just to check us out. But we like to think that's when and where the seed was planted. So in that sense as well, I guess, all of us at the founding can take some credit. Except that your headmaster, Mr. Nielsen, has surely earned this honor on his own. Please allow me to mention briefly his impressive academic history and stellar accomplishments. After graduating from Phillips Academy, Andover, he went on to Middlebury College, where he earned a BA in both English and music. He then proceeded to Columbia University, where he earned a master's in educational leadership. He's won numerous awards and recognition, but I want to mention one especially, which is the Wolfram Innovation Award for designing the first secondary school program to use mathematical software to study literature and texts. Apart from that, he's been assistant academic dean, assistant dean of the faculty, and most recently, Director of Research, Innovation, and Outreach. Two particular projects are noteworthy. These two projects have brought him celebrity all over the world. The first is the Educator's Notebook, which is a weekly summary of educational innovation across the web that unites scholars all over the world. And I can tell you that in my travels, people often refer to it not knowing that I know the person who created it. The second thing I'd like to mention is the Athena Project. And the Athena Project is a platform for allowing teachers in all spaces and places to be able to collaborate together. I'd like to mention what John Gula, the executive director of the E.E. Ford Foundation, said when he met Peter and decided to award him a leadership grant, which is the highest award that the E.E. Ford Foundation gives. When I first met this exceptionally talented polymath at Deerfield Academy, I was convinced that in the promulgation of the Athena Project, that I was going to see one of the greatest and most successful leader of students emerge. And indeed, that's what's happened. The dean of the faculty at Deerfield has to say this about him: "It's wonderful to witness his functioning so seamlessly in all of his roles here, and to see his students developing the habits of mind and heart that will serve them well and well beyond the classroom."
Well, all of King's Academy is now his classroom. The many things that Mr. Peter has said or written or done certainly attest to his readiness for this job. I believe that boarding schools, these are his words, are crucibles for learning in all aspects of life. And now in my words, there can't be anything that he's asking of anybody to do that he hasn't already done himself. A colleague at Deerfield wrote, "Peter is the owner of relentless enthusiasm, a distinctive laugh, and a dependably good nature." Peter is a throwback. He is the proverbial Renaissance man.
But the commitment first and foremost is always to students. And about that classroom, we'll give you just a couple of examples of student comments about Mr. Peter. One says, "There was never a dull moment in our class, and he was upbeat and ready to go every day first period, really waking everybody up. And he's really funny." Another writes, "He is always available for extra help. He develops a strong relationship with each student that is based on respect and trust, as well as genuine care."
So, we're sure that you've by now discovered those attributes already. But one thing I do wonder about, we wonder how much you know, is about Peter Nilsson and the world of music. Tucked in at the end of the next to last paragraph announcing his appointment at King's is this brief sentence: "He was a musician in New York for 4 years, where he composed and performed." Period.
What do you make of that? It almost seems like an irrelevant afterthought. But not just that. The announcement does not mention when those 4 years occurred. Well, we'll have to tell you that they occurred right in the middle of Mr. Peter's tenure at Deerfield from 2005 to 2009. I've always been intrigued by that interruption, that hiatus, but this is how he explains it. "I left teaching," he says, "because I felt called to music and the city. I returned to teaching because I missed the classroom, but also because I recognized that obligation, that social imperative to educate each other and ourselves. It is perhaps the most important thing we do."
Those 3 sentences say so much. we wanted to mention this self-awarded sabbatical in New York, where he composed, played the piano, sang, and produced in over 75 performances in the genres of jazz, soul, rock, Americana, classical, and musical theater, so that you would understand and certainly enjoy that side of him as well. His parting gift to Deerfield was to compose the music and the libretto of what he titled A Boarding School Musical, performed by the faculty in front of a charmed, delighted, and cheering student body. It is a brilliant piece. And by the way, one more thing about that interlude in New York. In the summer and fall of 2008, Mr. Peter was a decorated field organizer in the successful presidential election of Barack Obama.
In Mr. Peters' most recent Deerfield evaluation, the Dean of the Faculty commented again, "We are blessed to have you at Deerfield, Pete, and to recognize your enormous contributions to our community. We would love to see you and Crystal stay at Deerfield for many years to come." Sorry, there happened to be a school in the Jordanian countryside that had other ideas.
And so here he is, here you are, and here we are at this time, at this place. Such a propitious moment, as Dr. Meera said, for all of you, for your new headmaster, and for this great academy.
In an aberration from what anyone would normally do at this point, which is to sit down, we will not, at least not quite yet. Instead, we will ask Mr. Peter to stand up and join us. Because Dr. Eric wishes to sing for him. He wishes to sing a slightly abridged version of the old King's Academy cheering song, which Dr. Eric composed in the founding year. It's just a way of wishing Mr. Peter well, saluting him, recognizing his extraordinary musical talents, and recalling for him the music of this school. Some of you may remember it. It is titled, Without a Doubt.
To kings you will be ever true. For our teams you'll no doubt always have a cheer. Sorry. You're a lion now, gold, red, and blue, and you roar when our rivals reappear. Within our pride you're indubitably proud. You purr at the fame that victories bring. Defeated yet, your head remains unbowed. Thank you. Unbowed. Defeated yet, your head remains unbowed. Of beasts, you're undoubtedly the king. So.